Listen to this episode if you are looking for just some answers to some frequently asked questions that have been submitted by you, our listeners. Hello, welcome to the Small Business Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Madison Page. I'm a business growth specialist. I specialize in helping product-based business owners grow a standout, industry-disrupting brand on social media by building a ride or die community around your brand and around your product that you do sell. We've been in this place for about 8+ years. We've had this podcast for 4 to 5 years, which is crazy to say. And we have about 250 hours of me blabbing on the internet, chatting about business. I like to say this is like sipping coffee with a biz bestie. I like to teach in a very hyper conversational type of way. It's not very interview heavy. I don't want it to feel like I am preaching at you. I want to feel like you are sitting across the table and sipping a coffee with me and really just having a conversation about business. And so I love episodes like this. I actually don't know any of the questions. I posted it this morning and I'm going to kind of just go through all of the questions that I see and kind of pick the ones that I think would make the most sense to answer. If you don't follow the podcast Instagram, it is the Small Business Growth Pod on Instagram. And honestly, I ask a lot of questions there. If you ever have a question or you want to connect with me, you can go over there as well. Otherwise, of course, come on over to my personal Instagram, which is This Is Madison Page. But I'm going to pull them up here. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm just going to be checking out my phone, kind of looking at what some of these questions are. There's some personal ones I see. There's some professional, like business ones, talking about growth, talking about goals, talking about my wedding. If you don't know, I got engaged the day before Thanksgiving, all sorts of things. So without further ado, let's kind of dive in to some of these. Let's start with, how do you know what to do first? I think this is a really good question. Perfect idea to where to start as well. I see, how do you know what to do first and how do you balance it all? Seems like you have so many moving parts. I think those things kind of go pretty hand in hand. I'm going to kind of start with, how do you know what to do first? Honestly, a lot of understanding priorities in business. You are constantly going to have a list of like 1,000 items on your like someday list. I have a someday task list in my phone or on my Notion. Actually, I kind of organize my whole business and life on Notion, which is a project management software. And I have a someday list that basically, if I find myself kind of accomplishing a big project and I'm like, okay, what do I maybe want to do next? I go and I check that out. Maybe if I have like a really great idea that I'm like, dang, that would be really fun and I don't want to lose it, I don't want to forget it, then I will put that on that someday list. So then I can come back and be like, great, that was a great idea. Let me implement it there. So how do you know what to do first is really understanding what your vision is. I think that's really important. I think it's important to see, where are you really trying to go, and making decisions in business kind of come down from 1 to 2 things. The first thing is it going to help me like grow into something that is like, is this something that I actually think is going to help me grow and like become the business that I really want to become? Or is it going to kind of keep me where I'm at? Or is it something that I've been doing for a really long time? So when people are like, okay, should I try influencer marketing? Should I try ads? Should I try, going all in on TikTok or whatever that might be? It really comes down to understanding like what direction you want to take is a big piece of it. Like there's plenty of people that have gone all in on Instagram and that was just a personal decision, as well as understanding what is strategic. So, looking at how to grow, how to nurture, how to sell, like all of those pieces are very different. So for me, how do I know what to do first is a lot of times it's like the things that are the most time sensitive, as well as when I'm looking at working on my business, you're trying to implement something new, you're trying to grow your business. We look at what is going to kind of be the stepping stone to get to where I'm trying to be. And so is that stepping stone, like this year, I'm really stepping in to speaking in like in-person events. Is this going to be a stepping stone to where I really want it to be? And that's how I make decisions on, okay, maybe I reach out to a bunch of different speaking opportunities, and that would be what I want to do now. Maybe for you, if you're a product-based business, you're looking at, what do I do first? Do I focus on creating more content? content? Do I focus on creating a brand new product, like a whole collection? Do I focus on expansion, growth, nurture, like all of those pieces? And I think a lot of it kind of goes back to what is your overall vision? For me, understanding what to do first comes down to where is that vision? What are you trying to reach, and how does this actually align with that? So I think having a someday list is really important, being very clear on your vision, and also understanding that you do need to have a strategy in that point of understanding what is going to help you grow, what is going to help you nurture, and what is going to help you sell. Because every action in business should be strategic, or at least have some sort of purpose. Answering the how do you balance it all at once seems like you have a lot of moving parts. I like the word balance as opposed to like, how are you doing it all? Because at the end of the day, we aren't. Like I just said, I will constantly have a list of 1,000 things that I want to do, but we have to choose when like enough is enough for the day, enough is enough for the week, and kind of build all of this balance. I know a big part of my brand is talking about the freepreneur lifestyle. A big part of my brand is talking about, having a really full life outside. Like I'm constantly hiking, farmers markets, like, I'm not feeling like I am so married to my business. And I know that there's a common place of like feeling guilty when you're not working on your business because you know that you could be. And for me, it's just understanding that A, I'm very organized with my calendar, and B, I don't do it all. Like there are so many things on my plate. And honestly, this week I've been feeling very overwhelmed. It's my first full week back of the year. Like I feel like I'm kind of catching up. If I don't know about you, but like, over the holidays, I wanted to be very present with my family, but your whole life is going to be an opportunity cost. Like over the holidays, I was with my family. My fiance and I traveled for like 2+ months. It was like 11 weeks, staying with my soon-to-be in-laws, with my parents, like kind of going back and forth, like spending time, because they live in the Midwest and we live in Washington now. We felt really grateful to be able to take that amount of time and spend it with family. We have a new niece. Like there was so much going on personally that we got engaged. Like there were so many things, Christmas and Thanksgiving, and oh my gosh, so many things back to back that I wanted to be able to be present. That was a choice at that moment, but I knew the opportunity cost was January was going to be hectic. I was going to be overwhelmed. So I don't balance it all, but some tips to balance things: having a very regimented schedule. It helps me to tell myself that I work 9 to 4, 9 to 5 every day. I can also tell my family that, my friends that, being like, sorry, I work, like those are my hours. Even though I work for myself, those are things that you can have scheduled hours for yourself. If you work a 9 to 5, every Tuesday and Thursday, say you work 6 to 9 p.m. Like, sorry, I work 6 to 9 p.m. these nights. Have some of that structured time. I love Notion. It's a software it's a project management software. It really helps me organize everything. I have some sort of discount code for it. You can DM me on Instagram and I'll send it to you. I don't think I make any money from it. It's just like you can get a referral and I think you get a discount. As well as I am really big in like having a little bit of a regimented calendar. So like I know in my calendar, I live on Google Calendar and I can really do all of that. But those are the 3 major pieces that I think help you do it all, as well as understanding that if you are very overwhelmed, there's plenty of people out there that would love to help you and really help you grow. And you can always outsource different pieces of that as well. I do have a lot of moving parts in my business. I have the podcast, I have consulting, I have courses. Like I am trying to live a very balanced, like freedom-filled life as well. But I think it's looking at, what are your priorities? What is going to be a needle mover? It's going to help you make more income. What are the things that need to be done as soon as possible? And how can I be structured? You hear me say this all the time. How can you be structured when you can be? So when you don't want to be, you don't have to be. So I tell myself I work, 9 to 4 every day, and I'm structured on those days. So when I want to take Friday off, I can, because I have my stuff done and I don't need to feel guilty about it. When's your wedding? Our wedding will be in October 11th. I'm so excited about it. We rented an Airbnb somewhere and we just have like our very intimate family and like our best friends coming in and spending the time there. I'm very excited. It's really coming together. How are my hormones doing? For those of you that don't know, I got off of hormonal birth control and my hormones were wild. And I've been on kind of like a 2 to 3-year, I don't even remember when that was, journey of trying to balance them out. I have PCOS at like any point in time. I basically have like 30 to 60 cysts on my ovaries, which is crazy. Just like out here wildin', crazy stuff. But my hormones are doing okay. I'm much better than I used to be. But the like 3 to 5 days prior to my period, I am like my mental state is just not where it should be. I'm just like, I'm much crankier. I don't have the capacity for things. And I'm trying to kind of balance the idea of, what is normal and what's just common. And I still have some like growing to do, but I know I have symptoms still that are not fully managed. They're so much better than they used to be, but like, I'm not in pain anymore. I'm like basically pain free. My mental state is much better, but I'm very like self-diagnosed, have like mild PMDD symptoms. I don't really know. It's kind of hard to get a diagnosis in women's health in general, but which is just basically like severe kind of mood swings prior to. So if you ever hear me on a podcast episode and I'm like, she feels a little angry today, that's probably why. I'm not actually angry, just my brain is telling myself things that I don't actually believe. But they're doing so much better. I drink a tea every day. I am eating like low carb, low sugar, and I feel much better. So if you ever have questions, I honestly love when people reach out like, hey, I'm coming off of birth control. Do you have any ideas? Things like that. Or just like, I'm having these symptoms. I'm happy to provide any support that I can. It's not medical advice, but it is somebody that has done literally hours and hours and hours of research. How do I know which of your offers to start with? Kind of changing gears. This really depends on which level of support you're looking at. So I have courses and I have live programs, which is coaching. I have courses, which are basically, if you're like, Maddie, just give me the strategy and let me implement it. Or like, Maddie, I want a taste of what it's like to really understand how to operate in business or what an actual strategy is. That would be a course. I have the Breakthrough Content Lab, which teaches you all about social media, what content to create, how to really start leveraging social media marketing for your product-based business. And then I have the Product Launch Academy, which helps you learn how to launch your business or launch your product. It's really about having like collection releases, drops, sales, things like that. It is a very much so kind of a focus on that hard call to action days, those hard selling days. Both of them are incredible. They solve very specific problems, social media marketing or launching. So if you are just kind of wanting a taste, you're like, you're a self-starter, you can watch these things and kind of implement with the resources and all of that that's within there, you can go there. Otherwise, I have my 2 coaching programs, which is where I really work with the most amount of people. This is where you have me in your business with you. It's a very hybrid model where like my eyes, my ears, my heart, my business brain is really giving you personalized feedback for multiple months in a row. This is coaching. This is me being in your business and kind of, I like to say it's like having me as a business growth partner along the journey with you. And so I have PTP, which is product to profit, and that is for people that are looking to get to consistent sales. This is for people that are looking to really go all in on their business and be like, all right, this is the year I'm going to make 6 figures. This is the year I'm really going to see some major expansion. PTP is the place for you. We teach you how to have a seamless sales system in your business. This is where I've had dozens of people quit their 9-to-5, dozens more, hit their first 6-figure year. This is where you learn how to sell on social media. This is really like the full picture of growing a successful product-based business and like really building that. And we do that together. It's a lot of personalized one-on-one support. And then you learn some of the curriculum in more of a group setting. And then you also have the product sales expansion, which is for my established business owners that are already making money in their business, but you're looking to scale to like 250, 500, $1 million a year. This is for people that are looking to drastically scale their sales from where they're at, but they're not looking to scale their time. They're actually looking to, bring that freedom back into their life and build a business that has a little bit of balance. So if you're feeling like your business is running your life and you're not really able to you're not sure how to expand from here, you don't know what direction to bring kind of new sales in, that would be the product sales expansion. And we have openings for, all of them, because the courses are always available, but PTP support is starting in January, PSE is starting in February, and we're in open enrollment for both of them. So if you're interested, you can DM me on Instagram at This Is Madison Page. Just DM me support. And if you're like, Maddie, all those things seem the same, just DM me and we can kind of figure out what that process looks like, and I'd be happy to help you there. What are some of my goals in 2025? My big, if you follow me, you know that I kind of pick a word for the year. My major word for the year is expansion. I really want to be able to expand the reach of my overall mission. My mission is all about, freedom. It's freedom-based lifestyle. It's building that freepreneur vibe in your business, where I really want to get the narrative out there, then understand that no matter what business you have, it doesn't have to be all consuming in your business. And it's not even that it doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be. You need to be able to provide, you need to be able to have more in your life than your business to be able to be the best business owner that you can be. So my goal really is expansion. I want to get this message out there. I want to be able to help more people. Last year, I worked a lot on structure. And so I want to get the podcast out to more people. I want to get more people with this message in front of them. So if you want to help with that, share the podcast to your other business owner friends, put it in the Facebook groups, put it in the business group chats. If you love this podcast, I want to get this message out to more people, because I see it all the time where people come to me and their business is running their life and they're lacking motivation. They're kind of fell out of love with their business. They're running a business that was their biggest dream, and now they're running the business and it just feels not like they want it to, and it's because they've let it run their life. And there's plenty of strategies and systems we can put in place, whether you are starting your business or you are scaling your business, in order to do that. So share this with your friends. Shameless plug, put it in the group chat, share the podcast. It really helps us so much to get this message out there, and it's hard for people to find different podcasts. So if you love it, please send it out to all of your people. You can press the share button and just say, hey, I love this podcast. I was thinking of you and thought you might like it as well. It would help us so much. I want to grow my sales, but I feel so busy already. How can I possibly add more? This is a great question. This is probably for people just like product sales expansion people. Like I said, the established business. This is where talking about freedom and having some of those freedom-based strategies make a really big difference in your business. So I want to grow my sales, but I feel so busy already. How can I possibly add more? When I look at this question, I'm assuming that this person already has some sales coming in. Let's say, they're already making sales, but they're kind of at their cap with what they're doing. I'd have to kind of look and see what product they have. If you're an artist and you're at your cap, you can't create more art, we need to look at expanding in a way of creating products that take less of your time. So even if you're handmade, or if you're an artist, or if you're somebody that is hand pouring candles or whatever that might be, and you're at your cap, you either need to outsource, or you need to outsource something. So you either need to outsource the creation, or you need to add people into your team, or start manufacturing products, or you can expand your products into other items. So sell greeting cards, sell prints, sell some things that you can have manufactured, but it doesn't have to be everything. If you want to keep the handmade stuff going, you still can do other items. You just have to start kind of expanding in that sense. Of course, there's a lot of nuances with everybody, but a lot of it is understanding that if you want to scale your sales, it doesn't actually take more time to scale your sales. There's a lot of strategies that we can put in place. My product sales expansion gals can speak to this. It's the ASOE model. What we do is we analyze, we simplify, we optimize, and we expand. So we first have to analyze what's working, what's not, and then we optimize, or we simplify the things that aren't, and we look at all of your inefficiencies in your process. We optimize things so they actually convert better, because you currently have so many eyes in your business. You're just missing out. There's people in your sales process right now that are falling off just because you don't have certain tiny little things in place. When it comes to scaling your sales, it's really about making a ton of tweaks and adjustments that could take you 15 seconds. It's about changing a color of a button. It's about changing some messaging on your website. It's about adding email funnel in. And those are the little things that can take you 15 minutes that really make such a major difference in your overall sales. I literally had a product sales expansion client this last year that we added one email funnel that she didn't have, that I saw kind of a major gap in where people were falling off. We added one single email funnel, and it brought her in an extra $7,000 last year. It was a major increase for her. And it was a piece that took her like an hour to create these 3 different emails, and it allowed her to make an extra $7,000. So if we can do little tweaks and adjustments like that in different places, like in multiple places, all of a sudden you're growing your sales by $50,000, $100,000. And a lot of those product sales expansion clients do. Where are you living now, and are you out of the bus? Right now we are in Washington. We're going to be kind of in this space for a long time. My boyfriend works for the Forest Service. My fiance works for the Forest Service. I'm still not used to it. And he's under contract here for the next 2 years. So we don't know if we're going to move back into the bus this summer. It makes me really sad to say goodbye to the bus. I wouldn't sell it. It's going to be mine forever. We will probably take it on some like weekend trips or week-long trips, or I'll take it and travel while he's here over the summer because he's really busy over the summer. So we're out of the bus for now. We have rented this place, and I'm actually really excited to like settle into a house. If you don't know this, I've literally lived outside in either a tent or like a bus or a vehicle of some kind since I was 15, every single summer. I've literally never summered with air conditioning in my adult life ever. It's crazy. And so I'm actually kind of excited about it. I miss a shower. I miss an oven. I miss just like, some more regimented life things. And so we're going to see what life brings. We don't really know yet. I don't understand the concept of a strategy. This is something I've been having in my DMs so much these last couple of weeks. And I want to like tread very lightly on it. Like there's nothing wrong with not understanding what a strategy is. I know it feels like a very abstract conversation, and I'm probably going to put a whole episode out there this next Friday kind of about the difference between a strategy and a plan. But most people have a plan, which is like, I'm going to post 5 times a week on my stories, or I'm going to post 5 times a week on my feed. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to do that. But that's much more of a plan than it is a strategy. When we're talking about a strategy, what strategy is understanding messaging. It's understanding content. It's understanding your brand. It's understanding how to actually get a certain response from doing a certain action. And so the concept of a strategy basically is knowing what it takes to grow, knowing what it takes to nurture, and knowing what it takes to sell, and how to create content that does all 3 of those things. And it's like, it does feel very abstract until you learn it and you're like, oh my gosh. If I ask you the question, what content are you posting in order to actually activate your audience to sell? And you can't answer that. The odds are is that you don't have an actual strategy. What we're really looking for is messaging. What I'm looking for you to say is like, I'm currently in a nurture phase. That means that I'm talking about these 3 major content pillars, and I'm going to start kind of transitioning into selling next week because we have a launch coming up. And then we're going to start talking about some product information and some of these other pieces. That when people start telling me that, I know that they have a strategy. When they're saying, I know I need to post these pieces of content during this phase of the buying cycle, I know that they have a strategy. What it really comes down to is like knowing what you have to do in order to get the response that you're looking for. It's not winging it. It's not just creating content. It's not just, talking about how great your product is or how affordable it is or how comfortable it is or how healthy it is. It's like switching your messaging at different parts so people can really understand what it is. And I know that sounds really complex, but think of your business right now. You're kind of just winging it. You're kind of frustrated. You're putting it out there. Without a strategy, business feels heavy. It feels like the unknown. When you have a strategy, business feels confident. It feels sure. It feels like you are in control because you know what you have to do. And then it's just the execution of it and it starts working for you. So if you don't understand the concept of a strategy, odds are you probably don't have one, and there's nothing wrong with that. You've never built a business before. It is just a skill set that we have to learn in order to really there's a reason there's business moguls out there, is because they understand what a strategy is and they know how to apply it to all of these different places. That's also what I teach in my programs, is I teach you strategies and frameworks, and you should be able to answer if you have a solid strategy of what is this direction that we're going at and how does that really work? I have 3,500 to 5,000 in sales, but how do I grow from here? Yeah, this is a common point of plateau, is like 3,500 to 5,000 in sales, because a lot of times you are basically selling. A lot of times these people probably have a launch every single month, or they have like a major active selling, either a launch or a sale, like constantly, and they have these sales coming in. It's a common plateau, and this is something that we kind of break through in product sales expansion, is like, okay, so you clearly have a strategy in order to make these sales. Like, clearly you have consistent sales if you're in this kind of window. Some of these people join PTP, some of them join PSE, basically depending on how well they know their strategy and what they're really doing. But how do you grow from here really depends. I think there's a couple of areas. Of course, you can always optimize and sell in different ways to sell to different people. A lot of times these people are usually selling to just a few of the buyer types. There's 4 different types of buyers. And so switching your content strategy just slightly, most of the time you see an increase in sales, kind of bringing it from the $5,000 to $8,000 range. But from there, as well as, we need to start having some sort of like constant attraction funnel. We need to find a space that people are constantly like finding you. We need to have a space where people can find, new people are finding you every single day, every single week, because that means that you know how to sell to people, you know how to nurture people, because you are doing it consistently. Now we do need some more people. We need to find this way to get in front of new people all the time. And a lot of times that definitely helps, but it's not an end all be all. We have to really look at your strategy to be able to see, what are you doing? How strategic is it? What does your website look like? What does your analytics look like? At this stage, a big thing we want to do is look at your analytics, and we really, because you have data, you have people shopping, we want to see kind of where the sales fall off is happening, or if you just have a major, return customer rate, which means you have a really great community. Now it's all about kind of expansion and kind of getting out to some new people. How do you constantly have new content topics to post, feeling so repetitive and silly? This is a really good question as well. If you are running out of things to talk about, usually I want to say that you are lacking some sort of either A, content strategy, or B, like some vision in your business. I teach 7 types of content. The average business owner only posts 2 of those 7 types. The average business owner is posting some sort of selling content that's like, look at how cute this is, go and buy it, or like, shop now on my website. And then they're saying, maybe slight product details. You're talking about the features of your business a lot. And so how do you constantly have new topics to talk about is looking deeper in your brand. Brands that are building and disrupting industries right now are not able to be surface level. You have to get deeper. You need those other 5 types of content, because those are the types that add depth. It adds connection, and it adds like almost like superiority. It adds the disruption into your industry comes from the depth that you are adding to your content. So when people say, I'm running out of content ideas, in my head is they're lacking clarity in the foundations of their brand. Because truly, I could create content all day long. I could look at your brand, and my clients always say this. It's funny. They always say, Maddie, like your brain just like works in content, but it's because I can see your vision. I can see your direction. And to me, there's so many things we can talk about. Think of content deeper than how can I just show my product? We have to get a little bit deeper than that. And we teach these 7 types of content in both the Breakthrough Content Lab as well as Product to Profit. And if you are feeling like you're running out of content ideas, we probably want to look at the actual content you're creating as well as the foundations of your brand. I want to join PTP, but unsure when's the right time. So PTP is open for enrollment right now. It is my signature program. It is the program I have put the most amount of clients through. It is my favorite program because it helps people go from frustrated to trying to grow their business and DIY it and kind of in this frustration cycle to really helping people learn and understand what it takes to grow a thriving business on social media. I love a big sales claim, of course. I love people being like, I grew my business from $500,000 to $1 million. Those are awesome. But I love working with people that are going from, $1,000 to $5,000. So when we're really looking at when is PTP, the right time to join, you're never going to have a right time. When people are joining PTP, in my mind, is you are just making the decision that you are sick and tired of being in that frustration cycle. You're going all in on your business and you want to take the approach of actually like a strategic direction in your business. You're like, all right, like I've tried to DIY this. I've been running it like a hobby. I've been running it kind of like an Etsy shop on the side. I'm finally ready to start making some real money doing this. I want to learn how to do it right. And I'm like, want to get unstuck. I've been stuck in the same spot and I want to take major leaps and bounds. That is when you're ready to take PTP. And I want to say 95% of people that are in my DMs that join PTP are so scared to do it and they don't know if it's the right time, because at the end of the day, there never is the right time. The right time to join is when you are ready to get unstuck and finally see those results. The people that are in this program are thriving because they chose to really make a major difference in their life. And that is what PTP does, is it teaches you how to make consistent sales on social media. It is everything you need to make 6 figures online through your product-based business. And so it's not about finding the right time. It's about deciding that it's the time that you are ready to see a change to what is happening and you're ready to get unstuck. It's a decision that you're ready for business growth because you're stuck and you just don't know, like you've tried everything that you could DIY yourself and you're ready for a difference. How do I gain visibility on social media? Been stuck around the same number for a while. Visibility is a big thing. Really depends on what platform you're talking about. I'm assuming you're talking about Instagram. As I'm recording this, TikTok could be banned in the next week or so in the US. I really don't think it's going to be, but I do think that it's a possibility. Like they just put something out today that said they're getting ready for it. But I think it's just to get people like kind of moving. How do I gain visibility on social media is really understanding the content that is going to actually be created to grow. So many people are like, my views are stagnant, my likes are stagnant. Yes, those things really do matter, but I have clients that gain 50 followers from a reel that gets 5,000 views. So you don't need videos to go mega viral in order to grow. You just need to know what videos are actually going to convert, what messaging is actually going to attract new people, and what are the major things, like the major messaging, the major things that are actually working in your industry and online in general to actually get visibility. Because content to grow looks different than content to sell. So every piece of content is there for a different reason. So how do you gain visibility on social media? If I were to give you something tangible, I would look in your industry and outside of your industry at other brands that you really love and look at which of their content gets like 5 to 10 times the amount of views than the rest of them. And how can you kind of use that idea? What themes can you see in it? And how can you kind of try to use it? It's called viral hacking, is how can you utilize other people's viral content? You're not copying it, but you're seeing the themes and how they really do it in order to utilize different pieces and try to utilize some of that. As well as if you don't know what content is there to grow your audience, we need to look at that strategy as well, because growing your audience looks different than just selling. So we need to kind of cycle through this grow, nurture, sell sequence. And there's a lot of ways you can gain visibility. You can gain it in influencer marketing. You can gain it you could do an ambassadorship. You can do, ads. You can do so many different things. But when we talk about visibility, I talk about this someday list. There's a million things you can do to gain visibility. It's just choosing the one that feels the most supportive and the most fun for you. And then we can kind of take the different route and add the strategy into it from there. Last question is, do you see anything glaringly obvious with my account? I really like this question. I love a good Instagram audit. So let me pull up this person's Instagram and kind of just see if there is anything that I am seeing that's kind of like, glaringly obvious. I'm obviously not going to say who the brand is. So first things first, one thing that I really like about what this person is doing is their visuals they've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort towards making really professional visuals. Their photos are clearly edited with the same filter. Their branding is really beautiful. They have a little bit of film to it. They have some variety in their content from a visual standpoint that I can see the vibe they're going for. It's very natural. It's very organic. It's very it's really up my alley. You guys all know I love me some natural products, but we're really looking at it and it's clean, but it feels like kind of ethereal, and I really love that. And so something that, like, for everybody, having some sort of visual brand right off the bat is going to, even if you have 50 followers, if your visuals look really good, you will grow faster just because you look a little bit more professional than just like, the Etsy shop on the corner of the street. A brand and like taking time, I highly recommend having professional product photos. Something that is glaringly obvious to this person, to me, and of course I'm not telling who it is, but I will tell the person that submitted this that I'm going to, is it feels like their content is lacking depth. To me, it's a skincare brand. It's just everything is just around like beauty and skincare, and they're not really talking about anything deeper than the product itself. So I want you to ask yourself right now, if you couldn't describe the physical product, if you couldn't talk about the ingredients, if you couldn't talk about, the image of it, if you couldn't talk about, look at how beautiful this is, go and buy it. If you couldn't talk about the features of your product or the product itself, how would you actually sell this product? What would you talk about it? What are the values of your brand? What are other products or what are other ingredients that are really not great? You need to dig deeper. And if you don't know how to do that, that is where messaging and quality marketing comes from. How does it feel to use your product? What are the overall transformations that they're going to have? And if you don't have a tangible transformation, what is the emotional transformation? To me, this is a really common thing that is glaringly obvious on people's Instagrams when I look at it, is that it feels like boring. Like, why would people follow you? You have to ask yourself, like, if I was a consumer, would I want to watch the content that I have because of the information that I'm sharing? Or would I want to follow this account or not? And if that answer is no, we need to add more strategy. We need to add more value. We need to add more depth to what you're doing. People don't want to follow you, especially in 2025 on Instagram, to just like be sold to, because every influencer is selling to you, every brand is selling to you, all of the ads on social media are selling to you. They're on social media to be inspired, to be educated, to learn something, and they're following people that they feel inspired by, that they're learning something from. And so you need to be one of those accounts as well. And so a lot of times, and especially for this person, something that feels a little glaringly obvious to me is that we need to add more depth into your content. And your content, I know I said boring. Your content isn't boring. The visuals are incredible. That's just like in general, but like kind of a feedback for a lot of people that have content like this. What we're really looking for is depth of content. I want to hear the education of your brand. I want to hear like why you decided to build it. I want to hear like more than just like, here's my skincare and go and buy it. Like, look at how pretty this photo is. Pretty photos are going to help, but they're not going to get you everywhere. We need quality marketing and messaging to go alongside of it. And this is where kind of that art versus strategy really comes to play. If you're new here, you haven't listened to all of my podcast episodes, I talk a lot about the art versus science in business. Art is all about branding and science is all about strategy and, messaging and how to get people to move. We need a balance of both of these. We need a harmony of both of these right now. If you are all creative, if you are just branding, if you are just the creative outlet, you're just going to lack kind of that depth and that action, but people will be naturally intrigued. But because you don't have that strategy, people just won't move well enough. But if you come at it with all strategy and no branding, people just don't know who you're calling in, and you're almost just speaking too much science, too much selling. And so we kind of need to take a balance of these things. People need to be like, a lot of the attraction comes from the art side of business. So I hope that was helpful for you. I think that is all the questions that I'm going to answer today. If you are interested in gaining some of this support, there was a lot of questions about support. I know that's really common in the beginning of the year. My DMs have been very much so flooded with people being like, hey, how can you help me? Reach out to me on Instagram. You can just say support. My handle is @thisismadisonpage. If you've been binging my podcast for a really long time, my podcast can only teach you so much, whereas my coaching, you have my eyes in your business. You have all of the nuances, you have my full frameworks, my full strategies, and you really do learn everything that has to do with your business of what it takes to get to kind of that next step or the next 3 steps that you're really looking for. My coaching is both open in January and February for both PTP and PSE. If you're interested in it, I would love to support you. The podcast is great, but I have a lot of people being like, oh, I'll just listen to your podcast some more. But just understanding that we can only get so deep on the podcast. If the podcasts alone, you aren't learning the full scope of everything. We aren't able to teach you any nuances. We aren't able to teach you full frameworks. We need some visuals through the walls of social media and podcasts and your headphones. Of course, there's going to be some gaps and kind of getting you to that next step. Can you absolutely learn things? Yes. Can you absolutely consume information here and see results? Yes. But if you're really looking to get the full picture and really fully understand what a strategy is and how all of that makes sense, we need to dive into some more trainings and coaching and strategies and things like that. So if you are a regular and you don't follow me on Instagram and I haven't seen you there, come on over. I'd love to hear from you in the DMs, and I'd love to just stalk your profile, see what you're up to, and see who's listening. I can tailor my podcasts better when I know who's listening as well. So I love to hear from you there. Feel free to reach out and just DM me support, and we can figure out which support options make the most sense for you. Otherwise, if you know the option, you can let me know which one you're thinking about as well. So I hope you have a great day. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always. Make sure that you follow the podcast wherever you are, you subscribe to it, as well as if you give us a 5-star review, more people are able to see it, and it helps us so very much. I hope you have a great day. I'll chat with you in the next episode.